Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I slept well last night. This was this was what was going around yesterday afternoon. Large-scale supply chain attack in progress. NPM account. And by the way, this guy is, let me see if I can pull up his title, CTO at Ledger, where they make the hard wallets. NPM account of reputable developers been compromised. The affected packages have already been downloaded over 1 billion times, meaning the entire JavaScript ecosystem may be at risk. Malicious payload works by silently swapping crypto addresses to fly on the fly to steal funds. If you use a hardware wallet, pay attention to every transaction before signing and you're safe. If you don't use a hardware wallet, refrain from making any on-chain transactions for now. Folks, for years, this kind of stuff would freak me out. It no longer freaks me out because I have my crypto on iTrustCapital in institutional custody. I don't worry about this stuff anymore. I put my XRP in a PCA account, crypto and US dollars in, but only US dollars out. That knocks out, I mean, it really keeps, I mean, the hackers attack everybody, but why waste your time with a platform like iTrustCapital when you can go to the ones where you can get crypto out, which is what they want to do. I don't waste any of my time worrying about this stuff anymore. And that is the fact, Jack. If you want to open an iTrustCapital account, go to iTrustCapital.com/XRPArmy, and don't forget to go look at the promo code to get a $100 funding bonus. You can open an IRA. I have 2 of them, an IRA or a PCA account. Send your XRP right into it. We've got ourselves a $3 XRP. XRP just keeps standing right back up. We're at 3.91 trillion in the total market. We've gotten to about 4 trillion before things turned back. You can tell everybody's starting to get positioned because they know what's coming. Just 12 Senate Democrats unveiled a detailed framework for market structure legislation this morning, signaling the minority party's readiness to work across the aisle in comprehensive crypto reform. They know that their election depends on on being on board with the Clarity Act. Folks, we're going to see over the next month, we're going to see a lot of drama because all these people are going to capitalize on getting some TV time. This is how these politicians work. But you're going to get the Clarity Act. You're going to get legislation. I don't think the United States can afford not to, and they all know it. Paul Barron translated this clip with Eric Trump. He says what he means is that Ripple and XRP are poised to rewrite the history of finance.
The modern financial system is changing every single day, and crypto is rewriting the rules.
Yeah, no, and certainly it is something that we've seen.
He's right. Look at this. This is interesting from Paul Barron. French government collapses. Prime Minister Francis Bayrou, I don't even know how to say that name, ousted in devastating 364-194 confidence vote. And then here's all the stuff, massive protests, Macron faces impeachment calls. But look down here, he says, top assets held by the French, ETH, XRP, Bitcoin. I expect a surge of 70% in digital assets in the next 30 days. Digital assets will boom. I like the way he's thinking. Then we've got this. Congress introduces a new bill requiring the Treasury to study establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve and digital asset stockpile, including feasibility assessment and custody framework for federal digital assets. It's pretty clear what's coming, folks. Check this out. Remember yesterday, NASDAQ filed with the SEC to allow tokenization of blockchain listing of stocks. Smoke found this awesome clip.
And, this guy sells it to that guy. That's essentially, what the stock exchange does. So if you can have a common ledger to be able to exchange those IOUs at, then that certainly makes sense. And And there's examples of Korean banks partnering with local, Bitcoin companies for the settlement. People like the IMF or World Bank or these kind of people are always talking about these sort of blockchain settlement systems. NASDAQ is involved in I think, doing some trials with Ripple as well. So,
NASDAQ. And then NASDAQ, right after Gemini issues their XRP card last week or the week before, NASDAQ's going to invest $50 million in Gemini. I wonder why they would do that. Well, here's the NASDAQ CEO, Adina Friedman, who will be at Ripple Swell 2025.
So this morning we announced that we're going to be bringing tokenization into our markets. So making sure that equities are tokenized and traded on market, in the markets, not in a side sleeve, but actually in the core markets.
So the eventual goal, or is it today, 24/7, 365, equities, just let it rip constantly?
I mean, I think we are all moving in that direction. We announced several months ago that we're moving to 24/5. So we're
24/5
moving that way.
So Saturday and Sunday,
Not for equities yet. I think that, we have to, we're walking before we run. But I think that getting to 24/5 is a major advancement for the U.S. equities markets. And then on top of that, now with tokenization, if we can introduce that also into the markets, it allows us to really think about streamlining the post-trade processing, bringing and modernizing elements of the markets that have a lot of friction. We are hyper resilient and we're hyper scaled. We manage, like today, we had 95 billion messages come into our systems today. And we had a median, return time of 20 microseconds from order to trade. We handle like 3 million messages a second. It's hugely scaled. But then at the same time, once that trade occurs, there's a different process. And then the post-trade process, as we know, is an area where tokenization really shines. And really cutting down the friction, managing capital flows across the global ecosystem, and really bringing that capability into the markets is going to be the next.
I'm curious to get your reaction to this. There's this very famous curve, which is like you get this early font of insanity, and then there's the trough of disillusionment, and then you grow through. And does it seem like crypto is actually in blockchain? It's finally real. It's like there's real companies doing real things, stable coins, what Sachs did with the Genius Act.
Well, I actually want to point to that because, honestly, having regulators who want to work on bringing it into the mainstream and want to create the rules of the road is such a refreshing thing, because I think that it allows us all to understand how we can operate within a world where there are tenets of investor protection. The technology is going to have things we can and can't do, but also being forward thinking and forward leaning and how the technology is going to be applied is going to be critical. So we're very excited about the fact that we finally have this convergence of regulation between the traditional markets, the digital markets. How do we bring it all together to frankly advance all markets?
And that was called the new era of the stock market, the crypto era of the stock market, more specifically. Oh, we have more XRP bashing, folks. But I did need to point out the guy that's doing the bashing here owns XRP. And I said here, you have to wonder, what's their real game with all the anti-XRP stuff?
Now, when you talk about crypto and you talk about a lot of, which I believe are effectively like tech assets, I don't see most crypto assets, the ones that are going to do well, should be valued or looked at any differently than looking at stocks, which would be the NASDAQ, not the S&P. And the question there is the earnings multiple expansion in the stock market justified? And your answer is no. My answer is I think in some cases yes, in some cases no. But the markets don't tend to be nearly as selective as they should be. And that's really what the job of an analyst needs to be. So look, I am notably much more lukewarm on Ethereum. I think that I wonder if the riches that Bitmain I'm Tom Lee is his Icarus moment, because I think that he's hitched his star to the wrong horse for the wrong reasons. I'm not bearish particularly, but I'm certainly not nearly as hyper bullish. I'm much more on Solana and others, but that's just because I look at this as you have to look at what's going to actually drive value. And that's the same reason why I get in trouble with the XRP army, and I get in trouble with a lot of other people who look at me and say, oh my God, how could you say these things? And the answer is...
This is just for Solana. just in case people missed it. Keep going, but that's a $1.65 billion.
Yeah, and Solana's is breaking out again. You know, what are we at?
Cartoon monkeys and NFTs are the only thing that mean anything to this guy, I guess. Tokenized treasuries and, you know, big boy stuff, that must not make him very bullish.
214 today. You know, look, the fact is that these companies and these tokens people are buying them.
Tokenized regulated stable coins like RLUSD that burn XRP on every transaction. He doesn't get those things.
I'm thinking that there's going to be the next big thing, and that the owners of these assets will participate. And in some cases, the answer will be yes. In some cases, the answer will be...
Oh boy. Look at this. Spanish bank BBVA to use Ripple tech for retail digital asset custody under EU MiCA. And then Cassie Craddock from Ripple weighs in. Our new partnership with BBVA is another clear signal that the world's largest banks are embracing digital assets, spurred on by regulatory clarity from frameworks like EU's MiCA regulation. Very excited to be providing our institutional grade custody technology to support BBVA's retail crypto offering in Spain. The writing's on the wall, folks. Look at this. Nate Garachi gets it. SEC Crypto Task Force met today with several companies to discuss convergence of crypto and AI. We'll keep saying, don't think people fully appreciate how fast things are moving. Then we had the OCC, check this out, announced actions to eliminate politicized or unlawful debanking in the federal banking system. I was debanked. Brad Garlinghouse was debanked. Many in crypto were debanked. That's lawsuit city, by the way. Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. I have a lot of stuff I found, documentation on XRP that we're going to talk about in there. You can go to DAIXRP.com for the Patreon, or you can click below any of my YouTube videos to join through YouTube, or you can subscribe through the X platform. Just hit subscribe. We do the full video plus the extended video with no commercials. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Jay Clayton's going to be on Squawk Box at 8:30 on CNBC. That'll be interesting. Here we go.